the whole thing, it just says name.
We'll fix it. I will fix it.
Ready, everyone? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Cuyahoga Heights Board of Education meeting. Will the treasurer please call the roll?
Mr. Dobbins.
Here.
Mrs. Etter.
Here.
Ms. Prouse.
Here.
Mrs. Decker.
Here.
Mr. Suchaki.
Here, I present and absent. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome all students, staff. Whoops, did I skip the Pledge of Allegiance?
Not yet.
It's
Not yet, it's not there, okay, I'm in the right order. Only in two different school boards, they flip them and I have to keep track. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome all students, staff, parents, and interested community members to tonight's Board of Education meeting. The board values and encourages public comments on education issues. Anyone having an interest in the actions of the board may participate during the public comments portion of the meeting. And if you wish to do so, please identify yourself on the sign-in sheet. A copy of the agenda is available for review on the district's website, and we do ask that you please silence your cell phones during the meeting. At this point, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved?
Moved by Mr. Dobbins.
Second?
Is that Ms. Zetter? Oh, Ms. Decker, okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Ms. Prouse.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. At this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Young for recognitions and rewards.
Okay, we have two staff members this evening. I see one of them is definitely here. If the other isn't, then we will do exactly what we did for Mrs. Pavic. We will defer it to the next month because I want to make sure our staff get recognized. So I have a motion to approve staff spotlight resolutions for March 26, 2025.
Okay, would somebody like to make that motion, please?
So moved.
Ms. Proust?
Second?
Second by Mr. Dobbins. Should we take the vote immediately? And, yeah, get it out of the way so I don't forget it later. Treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Prouse.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Mrs. Decker.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye,
Aye.
motion passes 5-0. Mr. Young.
All right, so for the month of February, you recall back in January, Mrs. Lindsay Wisniewski was our staff spotlight, and for February, she nominated intervention specialist Beth Pavic. Beth, are you here? I know you are. Come on up. Come on up. There we go. All right, I am going to read the resolution while you turn around and face the crowd. Right? Now you know what it's like to be the student in the classroom, right? All right, whereas Beth Pavic has shown unwavering dedication to supporting colleagues and a strong commitment to student excellence, consistently upholding high academic standards and promoting success for all, and whereas Beth Pavic is a trusted mentor and resource for staff, offering timely guidance, one-on-one mentoring, and comprehensive solutions to help others grow and succeed. And whereas Beth Pavic takes the initiatives to support new team members, ensuring they feel welcomed, comfortable, and fully prepared to meet the demands of the classroom. And whereas Beth Pavic demonstrates exceptional responsiveness to both colleagues and students, making herself available outside regular hours to answer questions and provide assistance. And whereas Beth Pavic addresses student challenges with professionalism and care, developing individualized intervention plans, monitoring progress, and ensuring no student is overlooked. And whereas Beth Pavic contributes actively to district initiatives, sharing thoughtful suggestions in meetings, and creating valuable resources that benefit students and staff. And whereas Beth Pavic's dedication to the mission of Cuyahoga Heights is evident in her continuous efforts to help others succeed and her enthusiasm for promoting the district as a community of excellence. Now therefore be it resolved that the Cuyahoga Heights District formally recognizes and honors Beth Pavic for her extraordinary commitment, mentorship, and lasting contributions to the success of students and staff in this community. For February 26, 2025, Cuyahoga Heights Staff Spotlight. Congratulations. we're not going to go anywhere. I'm going to give you the certificate, got a medal for you. Mrs. Pavic, if you recall, a couple meetings ago, we accepted her resignation for the purpose of retirement. Mrs. Pavic has been here for 10 years. How many years in education? 32 and some change. We came in together back in 2015 in August. She has been an absolutely incredible asset to the students and the staff at Cuyahoga Heights. You can always hire another person when they retire, but you can never replace the qualities of the human being, and she is one of the finest human beings you're ever going to meet. So I'm proud of you. I'm really jealous that you're retiring. I know it will come all too fast, but this place is better because you were in our lives. Thank you so much.
Very proudly.
Now, for the month of March, Dr. Brian Freed was nominated by Mrs. Pavic. He's not here this evening, so I ask that we postpone this to the next meeting. I would love to get him up here. I know he's very busy as a teacher, but he's also has three fine young men that he and his wife are always running all over the place. They're involved in a lot here, so we will get him here one way or another.
Okay.
Okay?
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, moving on to the next section, which is Students of the Month.
All right, students of the month, we are going to start with the high school. We're going to start with 12th grade and work our way backwards as we typically do. Students, you're going to come forward as they read your name. They're going to read what your teacher said about you. And just know this, as we always say, the students are why we do what we do. And you're never going to find a finer group of students and staff who show up every day to make this place special. The families, you're a part of that. Thank you for your support in raising these children. They represent the best of us, and it's a great night tonight where we get to recognize their accomplishments and the fine character that they have.
Thank you for that introduction. The first student to be recognized tonight from the senior class, Gavin Skarovic. Please come forward. All right, Gavin wasn't certain if he could attend this evening, but he was going to try and make it. I will read to you what his nominating teacher had written. Here's what was written in his nomination. Gavin has been a joy to teach in 3 separate classes over the past several years. Not only is he serious and consistent in his academic work, but he is also thoughtful, curious, intelligent, and reflective. He puts forth effort into everything he does, from AP Physics to AP Literature to relationships with teachers, friends, coaches, and really anyone he can have a good yap session with. He never fails to impact conversation in fun and clever ways. There is clear intention and meaning behind every decision he makes, and he is one of the most persistent students I have worked with. When he comes up against a difficult problem, he keeps thinking about it from different angles and approaches rather than giving up. Many may think a guy who is so serious about school might be lacking in the social department, but not Gavin. He is fun to be around, and his great sense of humor, eclectic taste in music, and warm smile. His peers appreciate that he is always willing to lend a hand and be there for them, often attending his classmates' athletic events and similar activities to show his support. Overall, Gavin is a class act who will definitely thrive in college and beyond. We are lucky to have him here at CHHS for these past 4 years. Congratulations, Gavin. Our 11th grade student of the month, Tyler Wheaton. Please come forward. Tyler's here with his parents, Mike and Laura Wheaton, and Jennifer and Lee Weston. They are residents of Valley View, and he is the second oldest of 5 and has attended Heights his whole career. Tyler's favorite subject is math. He is a member of the Red Wolves basketball team and golf teams. Outside of school, he enjoys hanging out with friends and playing golf. His most memorable experience at Heights has been the Thursday night team dinners with the basketball team. He plans on becoming a firefighter as well as owning his own side business. His favorite part of Cuyahoga Heights is being part of the Cuyahoga Heights basketball team. Here is what his nominating teacher wrote. Tyler has been fantastic in class at all times and loves to volunteer. His perseverance and positive attitude makes him a role model for his peers. Tyler is a huge asset to my 8th period Algebra 2 class. Congratulations, Tyler.
Very nice.
Okay. Make sure this is you. Okay. Thanks.
The 10th grade student of the month is Adam Garib. Please come. Adam is here tonight with his dad Ahmed, and he is the oldest of two. His family lives in Cuyahoga Heights, along with their 2 cats. He has been attending Cuyahoga Heights his whole life as well, and said that he believes both his parents were former students here as well. Adam's favorite class this year is chemistry. He is in the orchestra, a member of the French Club, Recycle Club, National Honor Society, Model UN, Mock Trial, Student Council, and is the treasurer of the sophomore class. He plans on becoming an aerospace engineer. And here, to go along with that, here's an interesting fact that I learned about Adam as we were talking before this. He's part of an unofficial group, although it's been certified by the avionics group out there. And they launch small rockets in the area. So just be on the lookout. Not here. His favorite part of Cuyahoga Heights is the learning that takes place here. Here's what his nominating teacher wrote. Adam holds himself to the highest standard and pushes himself to meet those goals across all academic disciplines and in his extracurricular activities. He has had enormous growth this year in AP European history. He has a growth mindset in his learning. He is coachable and takes feedback in stride. This year, Adam has also stepped into the leadership role in Model United Nations and was the officer for Tunisia, helping underclassmen prepare for last year's conference. Additionally, he was a key member in Mock Trial this year. He spent numerous hours outside of school preparing for the case and helping others that were not on his immediate team. Congratulations, Adam.
Oh, very nice.
And for the 9th grade, our student of the month, Alexis Unger. Please come forward. She is here with her parents, Laura and David. The family live in Cuyahoga Heights. She is the youngest of 3 and has attended Heights her whole life. Her favorite subject in school is math. Alexis is a 3-sport varsity athlete in volleyball, basketball, and soon to be track. When she isn't at practice, she enjoys hanging out with friends, going to the pool, shopping, and watching movies. She wants to pursue a career in the medical field as either a pediatrician or an oncologist. Her most memorable experience was the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. She said the best part of being a student here is that with the small amount of people around me, and we're not a big school, we have a lot of opportunities to do things. And here's what her nominating teacher wrote. Alexis has a great attitude. She completes every homework assignment on time. She comes to class ready to work every day, and she never complains about anything. She tries her hardest on every activity and assessment. She never gives up and is supportive of her classmates. Congratulations, Alexis. Next, Ms. Scott will come up to present the Student of the Month for Bloomfield Middle School.
Good evening, everybody. All right, so we're going to start with our 6th grade student of the month, Oren Green. Oren, would you please come up? All right, a little bit about Oren. He resides in Valley View alongside 3 pets, 2 dogs named Hazel and Evie, and a cat named Mal. His parents are Tim and Rachel. As far as his academic excellence goes here at Cuyahoga Heights, he developed a passion for his favorite class, science, last year, thanks to Mr. Williams' classroom. His teachers describe him as always welcoming and kind to students. He approaches every task with dedication and never settles for less than the best. He takes on challenges with determination, listens thoughtfully, and pushes himself to grow in every subject. leadership, and everything else inspires those around him, making our school a better place. His character, perseverance, and commitment to excellence makes the team proud to recognize him as the 6th grade student of the month for March. Congratulations, Oren. All right, next we'll do 7th grade, Helen Dorowski. Come on up. Helen lives with his parents, Tracy and Robert, along with his older brother Nick, who is a senior here at CHS. At home, they have a dog named Shadow. Helen excels in math, saying, "I understand it a lot." He recalls 2 significant academic achievements, getting his first 100 on a test, though he couldn't remember exactly what test it was, just that it was 100, and being accepted into the gifted program here at the middle school. Helen appreciates his teachers, noting that they're flexible to the students' needs. Outside of the classroom, he also enjoys playing baseball. This month, the team would like to recognize him for the following characteristics. He exemplifies the value of cooperation in and outside of the classroom. He's an outstanding student who consistently completes his work with dedication, showing a strong commitment to learning. Helen is always respectful to his teachers and classmates, creating a positive and supportive environment for everyone around him. Beyond his academic excellence, Helen demonstrates true cooperation by working well with his peers, listening attentively, and contributing meaningfully to group activities. His willingness to help others and his positive attitude make him a role model for his classmates. Every day he puts forth his best effort, showing perseverance and a strong sense of responsibility. Congratulations, Helen. All right, and last but not least, our 8th grader, Brianna Nill. Brianna, Brianna also lives in Valley View with her parents Dennis and Kathleen. She has one brother, William, who already graduated. The family has 2 dogs, Hiccup and Loki. For her academic excellence, she excels in English, saying it comes easy for her. She enjoys the variety that the school has to offer and appreciates that there are new experiences and everything is new. Outside of the classroom, Brianna is actively involved in marching band as part of the color guard. She also works as stage crew for our school plays. Outside of school, she participates in softball. And here's what the 8th grade team says about Brianna. This month, we recognize Bree for her outstanding cooperation and teamwork. She constantly demonstrates a positive attitude and works well with her classmates in group activities. She is always willing to listen to others, offer help when needed, and contribute ideas that benefit the whole group. Her respectful and collaborative spirit sets a great example for her peers, making Bree an invaluable part of our classroom community. Congratulations, Brianna, on a well-deserved recognition. Keep up the good work. All right, and next we'll have Mr. Melvin come on up for our elementary school student of the month presentations.
All right. First up, we will have Mateo Torres. Right on. All right, Mateo lives in Valley View with his brother Micah, who I think is back there, and mom and dad. They do not have any pets. His favorite subject is math because, quote, "I'm really good at it, and it's kind of easy for me." He loves books because reading is fun. Outside of school, he likes to go to the park and play. When he grows up, Mateo wants to be an inventor. College, not really sure yet. And the message he would like to say to his parents is that he's really proud that he got Student of the Month. And this is what the 5th grade team said about Mateo. Mateo has been selected as Student of the Month for numerous outstanding qualities. He arrives at school every day with a bright smile and a positive attitude that uplifts those around him. His passion for reading shines through as he is often seen immersed in books during his free time. Mateo's love for learning is evident in the tremendous effort he puts into all that he does. Not only is he a dedicated student, but Mateo is also a kind and dependable friend to his peers, consistently showing respect to his teachers and setting an exemplary standard for others to follow. He embodies the qualities of a true role model and is a remarkable asset to the fifth grade class. All right, and our last student of the month is Evie Tartara. Evie resides in Brecksville with her mom and her dad. Her dad is CHS teacher Mike Tartara and basketball coach. With brother or sister Adriana in 10th grade, Gus in 8th grade, and Apollo in 3rd grade. They don't have any pets, but her favorite subject is math because there are so many ways to solve problems. Her favorite thing, I guess essential in her life, is basketball because it is a team sport and I met a bunch of my friends while playing basketball. Outside of school, Evie likes to play basketball and volleyball, and when she grows up, she would like to be a marine biologist because she loves looking at the water and underwater creatures. She wants to attend the Ohio State University, and the message to her parents is thank you for always pushing me to do my best. Evie's write-up by her 5th grade teachers is that Evie was chosen as Student of the Month because she exemplifies so many exceptional qualities. Her passion for math is evident in her enthusiasm and determination to excel, and her writing consistently showcases her remarkable creativity and thoughtfulness. In math class, Evie goes above and beyond, always giving her best effort and actively participating in every lesson. Her engagement extends across all subjects, where she demonstrates curiosity and a love for learning. As the locker monitor for the 5th grade, Evie takes her responsibilities seriously, performing her duties with pride and reliability. She is a kind and supportive friend to her peers, always treating teachers and staff with respect. Evie's dependability, positive attitude, and dedication makes her a standout member of the 5th grade class and an inspiration to those around her. Congratulations.
All right, once again, students, congratulations. Again, you represent the best of us. To the families, you should be so proud. Thank you for choosing Kaga Heights Schools. Thank you for giving these students as gifts to us every day. And to the teachers, I've got 6 staff members in the room here. Thank you for helping these kids reach new heights. You know, we really are building a community here each and every day, and we're very proud of what these students help us accomplish. All right, so we're going to take a short break. We're going to get a photo with the students and the Board of Education. Families can get individual photos. So we're going to take a brief recess. We'll bring everybody back in here. Well, not you. You don't have to stay. You should go get ice cream, Pokemon cards, whatever it is you guys are into. Play basketball. But go do something. Stay up an extra hour late if you want to, on me. Okay? Congratulations. We're going to take a break. Thank you.
Okay, we are returning from student awards stuff. So, let me get back into the agenda here. Why does it look so different today? Okay, move into section 5, comments from the public. And we have none, so we'll move into 6, treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for items 6A, 7A through 7F for approval tonight.
Okay, can I entertain a motion for the treasurer's items, please?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Prouse,
Second.
second by Ms. Etter. Discussion,
We have the minutes for 6A. We have 7A, which is our typical bank reconciliation, financial reports and payments report review for the month of February. Item B would be new vendors. I'll take a look at that. 2, 3, our lead sheet. We have 5 that we're adding as new vendors. First one is Avant Assessment, and that's for World Language Assessment Company. I believe it's French class supplies.
They're going to be doing some testing, some proficiency testing in the latter French classes, so this allows us to do that.
Approximately $300 we've used for that vendor. Number 2 is going to be Wingman Timing LLC. That's for new timing service for the OSHA track district meet. Approximately $5,000, but that would be reimbursed back to the district forward. Number 3 is SP Plus Corporation. That's for prom security for the parking lot. Approximately $400 a year paid from student activity funds. Number 4 is Valley Bloom Therapy Group. That's for special education extended school year services, approximately $6,000. And number 5 is the contract we had approved at the previous meeting, Einheit Electric Construction Company. That's for the fire alarm and security upgrades project. And that's about $600,000 for that project. Close out. Purchase orders of $5,000 for item C. We just have 3. On our lead sheet, we have Great Minds. That's going to be for literacy adoption, grades 1 through 5. That's a 2-year digital license. Matt, I wasn't sure if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, we had approved that originally 2 school years ago. This is a state-approved curriculum that we're required to adopt, and I believe the state has given us some reimbursement over the years on some of these, but really from this point on, we're on our own with purchasing these required materials and resources.
Number 2 is College Board AP exams. That's for 180 or so AP exams for the year. $12,986. And number 3 is Ohio Schools Council. That's a blanket purchase order for our natural gas utility, and that's a $30,000 blanket PO. So it's a bit more than what was estimated at the beginning of the year. It's at various thirds of the school year.
The cost for the AP test is about 60% of what it was in the past. All the tests were paper, pencil tests.
Right.
Now they're digital and hybrid tests, so because they've moved to a digital format, the cost of these tests has gone down significantly. So instead of $20,000+, it's down to, what was that, $12,000 you mentioned? Yeah. And that's good because we do pay for students. The board is gracious enough to continue to allow us to pay for our AP students to take those tests. And it has definitely increased our numbers over the years, so.
In regards to the natural gas, is it the increase because of, like, the per unit cost or just usage?
I think it's per unit, I think overall. We get a credit every year, and that credit this past year wasn't as large as it was maybe in the previous year or so.
And the credit comes from where?
Through that company.
Through the
From-
supplier?
Right,
Okay.
correct. But that should carry us through the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
And we're through Ohio Schools Council, so it's a consortium bid for that utility. Item D, good news. This is a new grant with GPD. Matt, do you want to talk on applying?
Yeah, so if you recall, the Career Center, we had a $30,000 grant that we put the, kind of that STEM lab over into the library to make a more interactive experience with literature. And we had also applied for a GPD Foundation grant up to $5,000. And our we got awarded this $5,000. This is for an interactive television like you see in the back of the room. Mr. Hartman, what size are we getting? An 86-inch interactive television with a mount, and all the cables will fit into that $5,000. And so we'll get that up and installed, and now students will be able to interact digitally with that particular resource. So far, that entire part of the room over there has been funded with grant funding, and so we're very grateful to our partners, the Career Center and then GPD for allowing us to do great things for kids.
Is that the size, 84? Is that the same size? That's 75, so it's even bigger than that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we plan to have a mount that can, a gravity mount that go up and down, so the pre-K students could use it as well as fifth grade students at the
Wow.
level, bring the education to their level.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Very nice.
Thank you, GPD.
Item E, it's a modification to our permanent appropriations. Two, the first one is for the GPD grant. The second one, I should say, is the $5,000 to Fund 19 for that grant we just received. And then the other modification is going to be a $200,000 increase to Fund 003, and that's for our permanent improvement fund. At the beginning of the year, we appropriated $700,000. Now that contract for the fire alarm security improvement project is $600,000. So I wanted a little bit of a cushion, so the $200,000 goes on top of the $700,000 to bring us to $900,000 appropriated for the year. Keep in mind, $600,000 of that spoken for the fire alarm project. So it leaves a little bit, about 300-some thousand, give or take, just available, just sitting there if we need it. So
And it doesn't have any reflection on the Hillside project.
no, Hillside will paying from the 300 fund, not 003, 300 fund, and that's with the billboard money.
Okay.
And item F, accepting donations, we just have one, and there's a picture there. My computer's going
Point
over
it
to
open
it.
for me.
Oh,
I saw the picture the other day, but I'm not seeing, oh, there it goes.
it's with Starbucks.
Mhm.
So Starbucks had donated, I want to say around 25 of these cups, new cups that were just unused, to the school district. So I'm not sure how the principals are going to raffle it off to the students or what, but
And Mr. Dutray is using it as part of our PBAS initiative, so to reinforce positive behaviors in our students. We've done some different things in the lunchroom. We have kids come up and recite like some of our components for our PBAS initiatives.
And we have our thank you letter there too at the bottom, and it's from the Starbucks on Rockside corner in that little shopping center in Independence. So
Nice.
those are the items I have for approval tonight.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Prowse?
Aye.
Mrs. Zetter?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. On to section 9, treasurer's discussion and comments.
Just one. It's that time of year again for the 5-year forecast. So during our December board meeting, we had discussed the fact that we didn't, well, actually, I thought it was in January, so listened to the whole January meeting again and figured, found out it wasn't there when we were discussing the 5-year forecast. And I'm like, wait, did we do it in December? So I listened to the December meeting right after it, so it took quite a while. But during that meeting, we were talking about how ODE recommends districts upload the 5-year forecast 5 business days before the end of the month to allow time to correct any submission errors prior to that May 31st due date. So that would mean we would have to upload the 5-year forecast Friday, May 23rd. Well, the second board meeting in May is not till May 28th. So then that means that first meeting in May, May 14th, we would have to review and approve. And I think everybody was comfortable with it at that point in time. So we would look to do that May 14th. We'll kick it to the wall. And that's all I have.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. Seem to be having difficulty tonight for some reason, getting this to work right. I don't know what's going on. If
I think it's
me.
just slow to load now. It's,
So I think we're into,
Do you want to switch computers?
yeah,
Here.
it's doing very strange things to me.
Yeah. If you take this, you,
Okay, thank you.
Is the internet
you're welcome.
good?
Got it?
Okay. So moving on to section 10, superintendent's business.
thank you, Mr. Suchaki.
It's working normally.
All right, on the consent agenda, we have items 10A through C, item 11A, items 12A and B, and items 13A through D for consideration.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for the superintendent's business. Moved by Ms. Decker, second by Ms. Proust.
Okay,
Discussion?
so under number 10, this is staff resignations. We have 3 resignations. One is for one of our regular, very reliable cleaners, Concordia McFall, known as Merle, around here. 15 years of service on our cleaning staff, and she is going to be retiring as of June 6, 2025. And she's been a very steady, valuable worker for us, and we'll certainly miss her and her contributions to our school district in this capacity. Next is an assistant baseball coach resignation effective March 14th of 2025. This is just simply because of family life, personal reasons, new child. Still going to volunteer, however. And then we have the resignation of a bus driver that never worked a single day. We approved her at the last meeting. We called her the next day, hey, you can report to work. And she says, I took a job somewhere else. So, good luck to Ms. Little. I hope she does well where she is. And we always need bus drivers. So if she doesn't like where she is, we have an opening. We would certainly like to have her consider our school district. Next, we have 11A. This is employment of supplemental positions. So to replace the assistant baseball coach position, we have a familiar face. We have Mr. Mark Lowther, father of our head coach, Brett Lowther, and former very successful head baseball coach here. So it's great to have his experience back on the baseball staff in that particular position. And then we have a scorer, Mrs. Wojtek, for middle school track meets. Next, we have employment of substitutes and volunteers. We have a long-term substitute teacher, Jennifer Cass-Penninger, for our art teacher. All right, this is going to be through the end of the year. That's effective 3/18. She started last week, passed all the appropriate background checks and everything, and we're bringing her in at BA Step 1 for the rest of the year, prorated, of course, as we've been doing with our long-term subs. It's hard to find quality long-term subs, and she has an art background and was teaching at a charter school and was very excited to get into a public school this spring. Next, we have testing proctors. It is testing season starting next week at Cuyahoga Heights and around the state of Ohio. Actually started this week. So we have Nancy DiBianca, who has been a steady person assisting us with test proctoring for a number of years, really since her retirement. And then a couple college students, Madeline Amari and Henry Clay. If they're available, we would like to get them in here to assist with testing, especially AP testing that's gone digital. And to be able to have some young folks come in who know how to operate that system and that platform could be helpful for us. So should they pass all their background checks, then we would use them as test proctors at the daily substitute rate. And then under 13, this section is agreements, contracts, memberships. We have Lightning Event Management. This is for a timing system for 2 of our home track meets, the George Gross Invitational and the Cuyahoga Relays. Letter B and C, these are service agreements with the ESC of Lorraine County for professional development. The first one is with North. North is a subdivision of the ESC of Lorraine County. Technology specifically is their expertise, and they help with new staff orientation. And then letter C is one of our last literacy professional developments we're going to be doing. We've done an excellent job of getting everybody calibrated. We have just one more step we'd like to take here. It's a dyslexia simulation. It actually, for a couple hours, staff members get to experience and do some activities to experience what it's like to be dyslexic, so that you can kind of put yourself in the shoes of the students who have been diagnosed with dyslexia. And then letter D, this is for parking service for our proms at Brown Stadium on May 9th of 2025, and this service will ensure that all of our vehicles are safe and secure while we are at Brown Stadium. So I ask that these items be considered for approval.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, treasurer, please call the roll.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Ms. Prouse?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mr. Sajaki?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to section 15, superintendent discussion.
Yeah, I'll be very, very quick. I do want to recognize our elementary school once again for receiving the Governor's Science of Reading recognition. We were one of 47 schools, not districts, schools. There are a couple thousand schools in all of Ohio, and it was a very, very, very rigorous process in order to qualify for this, and we were so proud of our staff and everybody who went all in on the Science of Reading effort that started 3 school years ago, and to see it finally culminate in this recognition is really something to be proud of. So, yeah, I guess well done to the elementary school. As I mentioned, it's testing season. That window opened up this week, the 24th of March, and it's going to go all the way through the 2nd week of May. We start next week. We have a spring break in the middle of all that, but we pretty much test between state testing and AP testing pretty much solid starting next week all the way through and into the third week of May. So, one of the criticisms of public education is all the testing. Understand that we didn't mandate any of the state testing at Cuyahoga Heights. We're just following the rules. So, but we do it really well. But make no mistake, it's time, it's laborious, and it's a lot of pressure on our kids and staff. And I'm proud of them for what they do every year, but it gets to be a lot, and it doesn't just, overnight success takes 6 years, right? They used to say. So our staff's been working this for a long time. Musicals, we had a great musical last weekend with Willy Wonka kids over at the elementary school. I mean, to have so many kids involved, we had almost 60 kids, I think, involved in that performance. 2 packed showings. If we would have had a third, we would have packed the elementary school. I guarantee it. So it's just great to see that kind of event followed by that, the VIP day that we had a couple weeks ago. Just bringing us a game night. We had family game night. 3 events in the month of March that brought families and our community into our elementary school with our students. Those are our future. Like, that's our future middle schoolers and high schools and graduates. It's great. It's just great to see everybody participating like that. And then on the legislation front, you're starting to see some things passed, like Senate Bill 1, which is a higher education bill. Make no mistake, pieces of that are going to work its way into the budget bill and is going to affect K through 12 education, so you need to continue to watch that. There are some tax bills that are getting some steam. Things around mathematics is picking up as well. This coming Friday, I was supposed to speak to a group of media around the state of Ohio on how the budget bill and some of the legislation is affecting public schools as part of an advocacy group that I'm a member of with the ESC. They ended up canceling that. They just didn't think they had the participation that they wanted. Didn't have the media participation. And then I was supposed to meet with Representative Michael Robinson Jr. over at Solon on Friday as part of the Alliance of High Quality Education had arranged for all of their members who fall within his district to meet with him and do a one-on-one. That has been postponed to a later date. I don't know how much later, because as we get into mid-April, the House is done with their version of the bill, and he is a House of Representative member. So I don't know how it could help at that particular point once it goes to the Senate. So just continue to pay attention, and we will wait, we will react, and I still feel confident that we're going to thrive, not just survive, but thrive after all of the changes that are taking place. So just be patient and hold on. Looking forward to, now he's doing a 5-year forecast, May, what'd you say, 14th? We're supposed to do the BEST committee presentation at night too, the capital improvement forecast that we've been putting together through the BEST committee. So we'll see if we get that together. He may say, let's push that to June because it's too many spreadsheets for one night, right, Mr. Muccio? No such thing. But we've done great work through the BEST committee. We've got one more meeting, which is in April, and we'll have kind of the culminating presentation of what we've done over the course of this year and kind of the direction we're going to be taking moving forward. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Moving on to Section 16, Board Policy and Review.
It's a little confusing, Mr. Suchaki. There's two parts of this because the Removal, suspension, expulsion, permanent exclusion of students. Second reading is and adoption is ready for you to vote on. However, the release time for religious instruction, there was a legal update that was just recently released, and I want to at least take time to explain that because it may change what our selections are. And so we're not going to vote on that tonight. I want you to consider, and let's have a discussion about what our options should be based on this latest legal update. Then we can adopt it at the April 9th? Is that our next meeting? 8th or 9th? The first meeting in April. So that's why you see it split like that. The first one you'll vote on, it'll become an official policy. The other, let's have a discussion about it.
Okay, well, let's hold the vote now for that particular item.
Do
The
we need a
board
motion
policy.
first?
What's that?
Do we need a motion first?
Yes, that's what I meant. I entertain a motion for that, I'm sorry. Didn't phrase that correctly.
So moved.
Ms. Prowse,
Second?
second by Mr. Dobbins. Any discussion? This is the item for removal, suspension, expulsion, and permanent exclusion of students. Hearing no other discussion, treasurer, please call the roll.
Ms. Prowse?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Now let's go into section 618, board policy review.
Yeah, so Neola released a legal alert this month about policy 5223, which is the release time for religious instruction. And specifically, it's on the background check section. They're really recommending that you get out of the background check business. It's the parents' rights to select this group and for their kid to leave school. They don't really recommend that we do anything with background checks. If you don't do it for every other group, they're saying don't do it with this group. However, if you do choose and you do want to get into the background check business, select the second option and not the first, because if you select the first, you might find yourself in litigation. Because one group has already said if they have a presence in a school and option number one is in policy, they will sue the school district. So, what's that? So what they're talking about, let me just read, I'll read through this, and I'm under criminal background checks. It says, recently some questions have arisen with respect to the new law's grant of discretionary right to include a requirement for criminal background checks of any instructors or volunteers of a private sponsoring entity. The statute thereafter provides only that such boards are to determine the manner in which criminal record checks of instructors and volunteers of the private entity are conducted. In response, the revised Neola policy set forth two options for those who are interested in pursuing this discretionary legislative grant. The first would require the sponsoring entity to provide documentation of those checks directly to the district, while the second option would require only a certification of the fact that criminal record checks have been completed. Both would provide districts with immediate access to documentation upon request. So again, that's if you decide to get into this part of the policy. You don't have to select either. Keep reading here. It says, regardless of which option, operationalizing the decision to engage in the assessment of the staff of a private sponsoring entity is problematic, since there are outstanding questions about the ability of the sponsoring entity to release criminal background check information to third parties without consent of those staff members. In addition, this could be construed as an audit of a private entity and its staff, which authority is not specifically granted by the new legislation. Moreover, while the authority to require sponsoring entities to have criminal background checks on certain staff exists, the district can determine the manner in which they are conducted. There is no corresponding guidance on what can be done with that information. For example, what criteria will be used in determining what is acceptable background check, or what happens if a district determines that a sponsoring entity has not met the requirements for any reason. It says, we are aware of at least one sponsoring entity that has indicated that they will litigate these issues if exercised by districts. To be sure, criminal background check option was provided by the legislature. It was a last-minute effort to address opposition testimony and concerns about student safety. It is clearly an imperfect solution fraught with legal and practical implications. While Neola developed discretionary options for districts to consider in line with the legislation, it appears that the better choice, on balance, may be to forego involvement with the assessment of the sponsoring entity's staffing with respect to the criminal background checks altogether. So they're saying don't select either one, just get out of the business. It says districts enjoy immunities here, and release time for religious instruction is first and foremost a parental choice. As discussed in the drafting note of Policy 5223, the more restrictive your district wishes to become relative to the release time for religious instruction, including this statutory option for criminal background checks, the more involved or entangled you are likely to become with the private entity. So, if you continue to read in that bold, any exercise of caution, and given that these issues will likely be litigated, Neola is now recommending that those who nevertheless decide to access this particular ill-conceived legislative authority to require criminal background checks of a sponsoring entity only use the second option and remove the final sentence, which states that criminal background check documentation must be provided to the board upon request. They remove that line. We have attached a revised policy template for your review. And so you kind of see it twice. You see in this first item, letter A, the first attachment is what we had discussed at the previous 2 or 3 board meetings. And we had checked option 1, which they are saying if you're going to select an option, select option 2 and remove the last line, which that, if you look at, really you just go to item B or the second attachment in A, it's the same thing. This is their revised policy, so if you look at B, you will see they have removed the line that they said you should remove, and that's where boards of education required, notification that this had been completed. But really, Neola is saying, get out of the business altogether, unless you want to face future litigation or potential litigation. So, that's really, I'm going to turn it over to you to say, what are your thoughts on that? I didn't want to just push this through. I thought it'd be best to let's take a third reading with this next time around. What are your thoughts on getting out of that background check business? Because this really was part of the College Credit Plus Parents' Bill of Rights, right? No, that was the bathroom bill. It was the Parents' Bill of Rights is what this was. And there were 2 policies. There was the Parent Bill of Rights, and then there's this, the release time for religious instruction. And it was all about parents have the right to influence the education of their children. And it is their right to say yes or no to this entity or any entity that would come in and say, we want to pull your kids on this day for this period of time. It still requires parental consent.
And when I'm reading what it says, districts enjoy immunities is what they're saying, is that we're not liable.
That's it, right.
So I guess that would be the.
So if the parent gives permission and the kid leaves school and something happens, maybe the person had a reckless driving incident, and that showed up on a background check, and then they get into an accident, and the student gets injured because they're on this little bus that's driving around the district during this 30-minute period of time, then there are immunities for the school district. The parent is the one who gave permission to put their kid in a vehicle in which the person had a reckless driving charge in their recent history. So it's a tough spot to be in, but again, you gotta worry about the variables you can control and the ones that you can't. We just have to make sure we communicate clearly exactly what all this means and let the parents make the choice.
So, Mr. Young, if this shifts the onus of this decision-making to the parents of the student, it would seem that we would want a very robust, well-worded, and very sound consent agreement. I see the parents have to consent in writing, so I assume it'd be more than just an email that says, I want so-and-so to be excused on such and such a day pursuant to your RTRI policy.
Yeah, there would have to be formal.
And so
yeah.
I'm thinking that it might be beneficial to understand what our consent agreement, if we want to call it a consent agreement, or a consent document might look like. And it would seem that might allow the district to be very clear that this is a parental decision, that the district in no way is assuming any liability as a result of the parent's voluntary choice to follow this.
Yeah, we would have to develop that, and that's something that I could collaborate with other school districts who, the the group LifeWise, for example, is the main focus of this particular bill for people that have given testimony on it. I know the superintendent in Medina, for example, LifeWise has been in their district for 2 years. So they've already worked through some of these things. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just connect with people that have already solved this problem and go from there.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I think that this, in my view, it just shifts the focus from a statutory board policy assessment to the quality and the content of what I'd call a consent document, so that it's very clear that the district is not assuming any liability as a result of this. I just do not want to open ourselves up to any accidental, inadvertent liability.
Yeah, and you can
And
see.
of course, I'm concerned for our kids' well-being
Right.
as well, and that's the trade-off.
I think this is just going to be, this may be a policy we have to come back and revise at some point regardless. I mean, you can see other potential issues that you're talking about. We could end up with litigation over core curriculum being all graded courses or courses with state standards, and not allowing, materials, snacks, trinkets, bringing them back to school. That could be challenged as well. So I think this is going to be something that we'll wrestle with, and at the end of the day, we'll comply with what our legal counsel, not our legal counsel, but Neola, which is several legal counsels, write those policies around this, not just Ohio, but they go outside of Ohio too. We're not looking to fight anybody, but we are looking to protect the integrity of what we do here, and we will. I think we should do that to the best of our ability.
Right.
So, thoughts on the background checks? Is it something that we should maybe just not mark any of them? Just go ahead and mark the second and roll the dice.
I'm willing to follow the suggestions of Neola. That's my personal view, is I'd follow those suggestions, but I'd like it to be followed up with a very robust, well-worded consent document that, or
Okay.
disclosure, whatever you want to call it, that absolves the district of any and all potential liability that would arise from this parent voluntary action. That's kind of where I'd like to, if that's where this is going.
You want to see that in general, or when someone
Well,
actually
I-
asks to be part of it if they come in here?
Well, that would, the latter. That
Okay.
would be, I think I've seen some of our policies that have like templates built into them, and I'm not suggesting we need to do that, but I just put it out there that,
You bring up an excellent point, and this is something that we have spoken about. There's a part of board docs that they're called administrative guidelines. And administrative guidelines are aligned with policy and are aligned with options you pick within policies. We have opted not to do that, which means we are responsible for developing all of our own administrative guidelines with really the hope that we are aligned exactly with policy. The positive of having administrative guidelines is we don't have to develop the 125, 150 plus administrative guidelines that are stated in policy between the treasurer and the superintendent or designees. They're there, they've developed them, we just have to align them with our policy. The downside, it's a $10,000 cost. That's the downside. We already paid $10,000 for board docs as it is in its current form. So it'd be an annual cost of $20,000 to have the administrative guidelines. But, that's one of the things that you balance, having guidelines that are aligned. So like you're talking about a template that is aligned with the policy, they'll probably develop that. And you'll be able to replicate it and use it and know that it's aligned with policy, so it's legally binding, so to speak, as opposed to us doing it ourselves. We can always send it off. What do you think, attorney?
One litigation can cost a lot more than
Yeah, so it's just something that we want to consider as we move into next school year with a lot of the changes that are coming. We know that there's going to be changes at the federal level that's going to have some impact. I don't know if it's going to have impact on our policies, so to say, because we've already made that shift towards vouchers in Ohio, privatized education. That shift's already been happening. Parents' rights, it's already been happening. So it's not going to be as big of a shift with some of these executive orders and the elimination, so to speak, or redistribution of the Department of Education. It's not going to have a huge effect on us at Cuyahoga Heights even, but at least we don't anticipate. However, you do want to make sure that with things like this, that you're 100% aligned. And there are a lot of things just like this, and you've mentioned that, Mr. Dobbins. You'll see that in policies. See Form F1, see Form F2. That's what they're talking about, are the administrative guidelines.
This might be a case, and maybe to kind of split the cost, I'm wondering if it wouldn't be a case where we could, as you say, piggyback off what other districts are doing and maybe have our district council look at it and tweak it or tailor it to our specific needs. But, and I'm just 1 of 5 here, but my view is, if they're counseling to avoid litigation risk, to do just that. And so to me, that shifts the burden then to the quality and the content of a disclosure document.
And again, we can use legal counsel on an as-needed basis. We did that with our in lieu of transportation documents. We wanted to make sure they were aligned because transportation can become very complex when you're looking at all the different requirements and knowing that we typically haven't used our own transportation. We pay in lieu of transportation costs, but we want to make sure that we're following all those deadlines. And they have helped us craft those documents and keep us checklists to keep us on target with the various deadlines. That's a good example of we don't necessarily have the administrative guideline on it, but we do have documents that have been and are annually reviewed by, I think it's Ennis Britton, the people that work there with transportation, because they have various people with special expertise. So,
I don't want to speak for the others, but that's where I'd come out on this. So thanks for the opportunity to comment.
Yeah, I would agree if they're saying check none, I'm aligned to that.
Yeah,
okay.
same here.
Maria? I know, I know.
I don't appreciate the fact that they're strong-arming us into doing something that it comes to the background checks. I think the safety of our children, the education of our children, the safety of our children has to be paramount in everything that we do. And the fact that they say that they're going to release liability to us, that doesn't make a difference to me, because I still feel the responsibility for our children, for our students. So at this point, I didn't like this the first time we started talking about it. I liked it less the second time we started talking about it, and I like it even less. And I don't think this thing in any form is going to be in a way that I'm going to approve it in any form. That's where I'm sitting right now.
Okay.
I think it's a logistical nightmare. It's ridiculous to take a child out of the school day, even if it is during a non-core subject. I don't understand why it has to be part of the school day. I have no objection to religious education or, worshiping how you want. I just don't understand why it has to take place during the school day. Why would it have to take place during their lunch period or their study hall? Why would that time of day make any difference? Why can't it take place after the school day? I think it's a logistical nightmare to start with. And then the whole thing with, the safety of the children. Why would they question us wanting to make sure that the student that we're going to hand off to a stranger who we don't know has been checked, background checked? It doesn't even, it's not logical. That makes no sense to me. So I'm liking this less and less every time we talk about it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, understandable.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into my opinions on things. I just, it's part of the resetting of education and public education specifically. It's not just a state of Ohio thing, Maria. It's something that is going on across the country. And what's the root cause of it? It's hard to say. I have yet to hear anybody say what the real root cause of why public schools are broken. Like the real root cause. You talk about testing, as I mentioned. Well, we're required to do all the testing. Or you talk about, why do you have this particular practice or policy? Well, because there's probably a federal law that's tied to grant funding, and so you can see why maybe, well, let's stop doing that and give it back to the states. You know, you can start to see some of the logic, but it's it's gone to the extreme. It's over here. It's not balanced. And what we know about schools is schools provide balance. They provide balance to families. They provide balance to children. They provide balance to society. When schools shut down in 2020, 5 years ago because of COVID, we saw what that did to the fabric of the workforce and society when kids could not go to school. All right? I don't know how we became the bad guy in all this when all we're doing is exactly what we've been mandated to do for a long time. I was in this profession before there were state standards, before there were all of these tests. There were just a couple, a proficiency test at certain grade levels. And then it became a moneymaker. It became an accountability piece. Senate Bill 5, I believe it was. Senate Bill 5, George? Was about busting unions back in the early or mid-2000s. And they broke it up, and they've still been going after that, pieces of that ever since. And this is the culmination of what you're seeing.
May not be the culmination, it's just the next step.
Yeah, I think there's trust me, they're still coming after public schools.
Right,
They're looking to eliminate certain or revise laws related to levies, related to tax collections for businesses, senior citizens. They're going after the 20 mil floor, which is going to affect roughly 400 school districts in Ohio. By the time this new funding formula comes in, I think if they do it without the updated inputs. So who knows? I mean, there's a lot out there, and I don't want to give misinformation, but we'll see. We'll see. Focus on kids. Focus on kids. Focus on being the best professionals we can possibly be every day. And the public will be happy with what we're doing.
Right.
And that's what we're striving for here.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, so I will revise that policy to essentially potentially eliminate. We're going to eliminate background checks. Even though, what's that?
Just the minimums.
Yep.
Bare minimums.
And then go from there. And I'll see if I can, in the meantime, get any examples of what people are using for that documentation of communication to families. I'll see if I can get a hold of anything. For most districts, this was an option. This wasn't a requirement. And some districts went ahead and just jumped on board and said, we're just not going to fight it. And so they've been doing this for a couple years. I'll contact a couple of those superintendents. Yeah.
Anything else on the policy review? Okay, moving into section 19, board discussion and comments. Anyone?
I've got 2 items this evening. Firstly, I wanted to express my sincere thanks to the CHSC admin team, Mr. Young, Mr. Burek in particular, and others, the CHES staff, the students, and our outstanding PTO who worked jointly to ensure the success of the recent family games night. It was a lot of fun at CHES and well attended, and just a lot of smiles on the children's faces. It also took time during that event to take a quick run through the library and the CHES library, and I had a chance to see the improvements that the CVCC and the GPD grants, or CVCC grants, have generated and brought to the district. They're nice to see, and I'm sure that our students are going to benefit very well from those. Lastly, the last thing I was going to mention is that I've been invited to attend monthly Zoom meetings that are sponsored by the OSBA, and they are inviting the legislative liaisons from districts around the state to participate on a monthly basis. They're held the last Monday of every month, so there's one coming up next Monday. And as significant developments occur, I'll be happy to share those with this group. That's all I have.
Appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I think I noticed today in an OSBA email that they were asking districts to nominate a, like a business honoree, like to honor a business in our district. I don't know if we might want to think about doing something like that.
Yeah, we have done that in the past. If somebody has a particular business they think we should recognize, let me know. We can move forward with that.
I mean, we
Or
did get
pass
this,
along to Mr.
we
Young.
did get this grant from GPD. I'm not saying that would be one, but, you know, it's someone else.
We did have a local business that invited our students out earlier in the year. Dr. Freed took them on a field trip, is that right, George?
If you
Yeah.
wouldn't mind sharing that.
Yeah,
information.
and we did wrote a story about it, I think, in the one newsletter. They were a local business that talked about apprenticeship or internship opportunities post-graduation. Maybe that could be a good one to consider as well, since they're right here, and I think they're in Cuyahoga Heights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I throw it out there for us to think about it.
Yeah.
It might be a nice, you know, plug for one of our supporting businesses. I mean, we have generous businesses and community people here that help us out a lot, but, you know, just something to consider.
We have a short timeline on this, so.
I know.
The lady at the OSB, I've worked with her in the past on past BHR nominees, and I think that if we had an indication that we were inclined to submit something, I think that there might be some latitude, but I can't speak for her, but I think there might be some latitude.
Okay. Let's see what we can find out. If you happen to remember the contact, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just,
Yeah,
we got the business, we'll go from there. See what we can get put together quickly.
And then next weekend is the spring musical, Wizard of Oz, April 4th, 5th, and 6th, just a reminder.
I want to go.
Yeah, I meant to mention that when I talked about Willy Wonka. I meant to talk about the Wizard of Oz. I just got excited about what was going on at the elementary school. You're exactly right. Should be exciting.
And at the Career Center, we had the National Technical Honor Society induction ceremony. There were 8 students from Cuyahoga Heights: Logan Apathy, James Blados, Caitlin Domjalski, Sophia Kish, Isabella Pasquala, Donnie Raymond, and Emily Sinicki. I think we had, Mr. Young and I went over, I think we were the second highest number of
Total.
total.
Yeah, and tied for the most juniors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tied for the most
It's
juniors.
impressive. I mean, it was like 30% of the juniors that are over there.
Right.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it's very, very, very impressive when you consider we're the smallest district within the Career Center. That makes it even more impressive.
You have to have a 3.75 GPA at the Career Center. You have to have a 3.30 GPA in your school district. And I think you have to have a 98% attendance rate. It's very high.
Oh, I was just going back to something else that you mentioned that. Have we already promoted the Science of Reading Governor's Award?
We did.
Okay.
Yep, it was in my newsletters and a couple times, and then I hope to feature it in the next edition of the Heights Highlights.
Because I was thinking that would be really, really good for our community to find out about that
Yeah.
in any way possible.
Yeah, I want to put that out. So Margaret she emailed me yesterday. So
Okay.
You know, get on the board outside too, maybe that's something to get on there.
yep.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it is a big deal, you know? Absolutely. For the number of schools that even got it, and us getting it, and, you know, with this program, you know, just in its, I don't want to say it's in its infancy stage, but, you know, it's only been around a few years, and obviously it's making an impact. So I'd like for people to know about it.
A couple other things. This month's featured Cuyahoga Heights student in the Student Connection is Isabella Melendez. She's a junior here, and she is in the Health Careers Program. And then the final thing is at our last meeting, we had a technology 5-year plan presented to us. And one thing that I did notice is they don't use Neola for backup. The Career Center has its own backup procedures. They don't go through Neola, they have it done somewhere else. I just asked about it, and he said, no, we don't use Neola, and we feel ours is very good, and that's about all I learned about it. But we do, just like here, replacement schedules to get things taken care of. This past year, there were some network upgrades, and building technology spent about $300,000. This coming year, there's some significant monies being spent to put the new cosmetology lab in place. That also comes from the technology budget. And there's about $1.2 million, including more Chromebooks, some backup systems for the computer system and other things. It's a 5-year plan, but this is IT. 5 years is really tough to go that far out. So I won't go over the whole plan, but I do have it in case you're interested. And then that's all I have. Anyone else? Anything else? Okay, possible future agenda items, whoops, sorry. Anybody have any possible future agenda items? None, okay. Section 21, it should be noted the Board of Education members receive their agendas several days prior to the meeting, and they've had opportunity to study and ask questions. Upcoming meetings, Wednesday, they're all Wednesdays, of course. April 10th at 6 o'clock, April 24th at 7, and May 8th at 6. And by the way, I've got,
The dates are.
Yeah, those dates may be wrong.
oh,
It'd be the 9th, the 23rd, and the.
Correct.
oh, okay, I'm just reading what's here. I didn't look at the
Yeah,
calendar.
no,
I
it's-
just happen to know.
Those are not accurate.
Okay, so it's the 9th and 23rd
And May 7th.
and May 7th, okay. Thank you for catching that.
Actually, my calendar says May 14th.
May 14th.
Yeah.
May 14th, okay.
Yeah, it should be May 14th.
Well, he talked about May 14th already. So.
Yep, yep.
Yes, we'll make those corrections.
Okay. And while I'm thinking about it,
For that.
I've got some unavoidable days that are going to interfere with board meetings coming up over the next few months, so be ready. I'll let you know. Okay, at this point, I'll make a motion to adjourn to executive session for 121.22G1 to consider employment, appointment, discipline, dismissal, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. And I think that's all we need out of that one. Mr. Young, do we need any other?
3.
And three? Conferences with attorney, oh yes, conferences with attorney for public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action. So I've made the motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Dobbins. It is 8:26. We are adjourning into executive session.
Do we need to do a roll?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do a roll?
Treasurer, please call the roll.
Yep. Mr. Suchaki?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Ms. Kraus?
Aye.
Mrs. Decker?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Now we're adjourning it into executive